Hey, it's the champ Antonio Tarver, and you're listening to Tarver's Take, the most informative take in boxing. Just remember where you heard it first. This weekend, man, I dive right in. The big fight coming up from the UK, man. It's a rivalry that's been lasting for over 30 years almost, and it's the sons of legends, bro. It's the sons of legends. Uh, Chris Eubank Sr. and Nigel Benn, two guys that in the 90s, man, really carried the torch for the UK, and they had some an epic battle. You know what I'm saying? And Chris Eubank Sr. was able to win both of the fights that they had. So there's really not, what you would call a rivalry. I mean, I think the Eubanks have won the rivalry thus far, and now it's time for Conor Benn to see can he even the score. So there's a lot at stake here, man. A lot of history, and this fight has been in the making for some time now. I think about 2 years ago they were scheduled to fight, and unfortunately, Conor Benn came up with some adverse drug tests. You know what I'm saying? So he failed his drug test, was suspended for a little bit, but now he's on the comeback. And it was, and all along he wanted to get this particular fight. You know what I'm saying? With his arch nemesis and rival, Chris Eubank Jr. You know what I'm saying? They fathers fought, and Chris Eubank was able to beat Ben twice, stopped him once, I believe. So the rivalry that they have, between these families now, can see can the Benns even the score. It's going to be an uphill battle because I believe Chris Eubank Jr. does have and possess, what I'm saying, a lot of talent and ability when it comes down to his boxing. I've been impressed with Ben. That fight that he beat, gave Peter Dobson, who I was very high on, gave Peter Dobson, a very tough fighter, his first loss right here in Kissimmee, man. I was at that fight, and I was just impressed with the way, Conor Benn was able to, really put his heart on display and his focus. He didn't have any distractions in that fight. He was locked in. I love the way he was throwing his combinations, the way he was giving his angles. The kid looked like he had a lot of sauce on him. You feel me? Like he had his bag full. But he'll need that going up against a bigger, stronger, taller, longer Chris Eubank Jr. He's moving up 2 weight classes to make this fight happen at a catch weight of, I believe, middleweight 160. And then they have only a 10-pound rehydration clause. So that means, Chris Eubanks Jr., who's the bigger fighter, can be as big as 170 on fight night. And that's a welterweight. Wrap your mind around this. It's a welterweight, bona fide welterweight, 147-pounder, moving up to 160, and they capping at 170. He's definitely going to be the smaller guy in stature here. Now, does that size equate to power, punching power, and strength, and being able to really, control the smaller guy? If Chris Eubank Jr. can come out and impose his will and back Conor Benn up, that will be, I think it'll spell trouble for Conor Benn if he wants to win this fight. I think when you look at Chris Eubank Jr., he throws both hands well in succession. He has like that rapid fire style, and he lets them go. You know what I mean? If he hurts you, he gets a little wild. You know what I mean? He's trying to get you out of there, badly. He's trying to get you out of there for sure. But if he can't get you out of there and he catch you, he starts to get wild. That probably will give Conor Benn some chances to sneak something in between those wild shots. So he's going to have to stay tight and stay poised, you know what I mean, in front of, the more faster, fleeter Conor Benn. Conor Benn is going to have to back Chris Eubanks up because from all the film I've seen on Chris, Eubanks Jr., he's mostly coming on that front foot. He's pressing you back. Yeah, all his success has been pretty much pressing you back. Haven't seen his counter punching ability. You know what I mean? He really don't fight out of his defense. So, you know what I mean? It's going to be important for Conor Benn to use his skill set because I believe as far as temperament, you know what I mean? Chris Eubank Jr., I think temperament here, is going to be something he's going to have to really dial in on, because he don't want to get so out of control. I think that gives Conor Benn more chances. You know what I mean? Chris Eubank using that jab, going on that front foot. But if you see Conor Benn backing him up, pushing him to the ropes, look for Conor Benn to be winning the fight. You know what I mean? Chris won't be able to back up and win this fight. He's going to have to put that pressure on the smaller guy, you know what I mean, impose his will, so to speak, you know what I mean? But I was so impressed with Conor Benn in that Peter Dobson fight, man. I'm trying to figure out now, what does he do in this fight to win? You know what I'm saying? Can he back a Chris Eubank Jr. up? Can he back a guy that's almost 170 pounds up? And then if Conor Benn is successful with his shots, can he hurt Chris Eubanks, who is a guy that's used to being, punched by bigger, stronger fighters? Even though that Liam Smith fight, he got clipped in the first fight that they had, but he was fortunate enough to come back and avenge that loss by knockout. So that was a good win he had. Since then, he fought a no-name guy. He got him out of there. You know what I'm saying? But then it sets up this fight, this rivalry right here that puts the UK in British boxing on the front page today, this week, on the front page of everything with this, this British rivalry, man, that dates back 30 years. So everyone in the UK will be looking for this fight. And hats off again to Your Excellency, Turkey Al-Sheikh, and Ring Magazine, man, for really coming together and making these huge fights that without them, we probably wouldn't be seeing. So, there you have it, man. Everyone's going to be talking about this big fight all week. Hopefully this breakdown gets you guys excited. I think this fight is going to live up to the billing, and to the winner goes the spoils, man. If Chris Eubank Jr. can win this fight and, look impressive doing so, that puts him in line, man, to really step up and fight some of these bigger names in the middleweight division and even far up as super middleweight. So Chris Eubank, man, this can really, light a fire under his career, right here at the tail end, and give him a big boost, big shot in the arm, man, to really finish his career off right. And if Conor Benn can upset Chris Eubank and the smaller guy beats the bigger guy for once in a change, I think the bigger guys have always, had an advantage when they're facing smaller guys, when both guys are, good boxers, solid boxers, and good fighters. So, I think this is going to be one of those Eben type flow fights where both guys are going to have their moments, but it's the guy that have really trained and in that supreme tip-top condition. I believe that's going to press through. Now, there's been a lot of distractions in the buildup. We know about the egg being smashed on my guy's face. You feel me? And, did that really throw Conor Benn focus off? Because right now he's been looking as if he's been, real anxious to get in there and do some damage and get Chris Eubanks Jr. back for embarrassing him and humiliating him in front of everyone with that egg antic, And so, that went viral, got a lot of attention around this fight, but I hope that situation don't throw Conor Benn all the way off, because he's so, I don't know if that threw him off his game. Chris Eubank Jr. might have got him off his square with that one, because now he's so, anxious to get even. And maybe he might be too anxious and too, you feel me, aggressive when going to try to get his get back. I think he still needs to compartmentalize everything and really stay locked in on the job at hand and take it one round at a time. It's going to be important for him to take it one round at a time. You don't want to get Chris Eubank Jr., any type of success early, because like I said, he has the ability to throw both hands in succession when he got you hurt. And that uppercut comes from all different sizes and all different angles. Chris Eubank Jr. got one of the best uppercuts in the game. You know what I mean? And when you're facing a shorter guy, he's already down there. So Conor Benn gonna have to keep his eyes open for that slick, quick uppercut that Chris Eubanks really rely on. You know, when he's in any type of trouble, if he's pressed or if he's trying to get a guy, you know, hurt, he's going to throw that uppercut. That's one of his most natural punches. So look for that, you know, to be a factor in this fight. Conor Benn gonna have to box, use angles, make this guy miss, make this guy pay, stay close inside, and conditioning, man. Once he's gonna be able to have to fight hard and fight long. And I think the guy that's in best shape has the advantage here in this fight. So there you have it. You've been listening to Tarver's Take, man. I want to also just cap on a little bit of the family dynamics that's going on in this fight. And I think that could be, you know, an issue, you know, if this fight get tough. You know, Conor Benn and Nigel Benn, father and son, they're tapped in, man, and it's worked for them. You know, this father-son dynamic don't always work. You feel me? We've seen it in the past. We've seen the success, and we've seen, you know, the failures when it came down to that. But in this particular fight, man, it just breaks my heart, you know, to see that, you know, Chris Eubanks Jr. has worked his butt off, man, and really was inspired by his father. You feel me? And to have them at this space and place and time, you know, it really breaks my heart. It makes me feel bad for both guys because, you know, they're going to be father and son way long after their boxing, you know, Chris Eubanks Jr. boxing career is over. So I think, you know, that's the most important relationship. And before it's all said and done, man, I hope those guys can find each other and get on that same page and have that understanding and respect for each other, because I know how much that means to Chris Eubanks Jr. as well as Chris Eubanks Sr. Man, I know Sr. is one of those eccentric type guys, you know, really have a strong opinion, old throwback guy, you feel me? You know what I mean? And he stand on what he believes in. He's been doing it like that all his life. So we got to respect, you know what I mean, Chris Eubanks Sr., you know, even though the way he go about things, a lot of people might have a difference of opinion, but it's caused him to be very successful by the way he's approached life and by the way he's approached the sport of boxing. So you can learn something from that, you know what I mean? But I'm anticipating this fight, man. And in case you haven't noticed, I want to just give a shout out to DAZN, man. We can officially, you know, put the title on DAZN as the network of boxing. You see everyone, every fight, every major fight is pretty much being telecast by DAZN. You know what I mean? So DAZN is the leader right now in the sport of boxing when it comes down to, you know, telecast and having, you know, a place where you know you're going to be able to see the big fights. That's DAZN. And you've been listening to Tarver's Take, man. Can't wait for this fight as well. Tarver's Take, I'm going to do another, you know, Fatal Fury take, another Fatal Fury take. My last take is out on my YouTube, but like I said, it was a little fuzzy. It didn't come out as well as I wanted to, so I'm going to do another, you know, Tarver's Take on the breakdown of the 3 main event fights that's coming up on Fatal Fury May 2nd, live on DAZN right there in Times Square, man. I'll be there. Don't want to miss it. And tap into this fight, man. It's going to be one to see. It's going to be one to see. There you have it. Until the next time, stay tapped in. I'll talk to you then.